And a very warm welcome to everybody. Here we have our final module for the Sleep and Dream course. We are looking at lucid dreaming specifically. This is a very, very, very interesting and passionate topic for me, and I'm very much looking forward to sharing this with you. So, by now you know who I am. If you need a reminder, that's me. What we'll be covering in this module is quite a bit. So we're going to be looking at what exactly is a lucid dream. Can we learn to lucid dream, or is it just something that some people have and some people don't? We'll look at the science of it, some early research as well as up-to-date research, and then the why of lucid dreaming. Why would we want to do something that we might not even know what it is at the moment? And then we're going to look at a topic called mindfulness and kindfulness. Dream recall, we're recapping that because it's very important. That's the main tool in our toolbox for lucid dreaming. We're then introducing something called dream signs. All right, this is why we're going to be looking at our dream diaries as well. Setting a lucidity trigger for our lucid dreams. We are bringing in reality checks as well as dream plans in this module, and then the actual how-to, so the techniques. How do we become lucid? Two techniques we're going to look at in this module are the WBTB and the MILD. So we just call the first one wake back to bed, and the second one you can just pronounce the acronym as mild. We'll get into that a bit later. And then we'll end off looking at some affirmations for lucid dreaming specifically. So let's get going. So what is a lucid dream? Okay, so a lucid dream is a dream in which you know that you are dreaming as the dream is happening. So you are absolutely sound asleep in your bed, but in your mind, you become self-aware and have a moment of, aha, this is a dream. Now this happens while you are sleeping sound asleep. So to somebody looking at you, they wouldn't know that you're having that aha moment. So it's not just a really vivid dream, okay? Many people use the word lucid for clear dream, so it can be a little confusing. Just know that for the context of tonight's topic, lucid and vivid and clear are very different. Okay, so what makes it a lucid dream and not just a clear, vivid dream is that you have fully conscious awareness. All right? You are fully conscious and aware that you are dreaming while the dream is taking place. So in a sense, your consciousness switches back on and you have the realization that what you are experiencing is your mind. The realms of possibility that open up once this occurs are absolutely huge. We're going to dive into this a little bit deeper now. So a teacher of mine, Charlie Morley, a great lucid dreamer and a wonderful lucid dream teacher and practitioner, says, in a lucid dream, you gain access to the most powerful virtual reality stimulation or simulation in existence, the human mind. And if that isn't an introduction of what you want to know more about, then yeah, I'll try to put it a bit clearer in the next few slides. How about this one? What if life is a dream and when we die, we actually wake up? Now, there are certain traditions, specifically the Tibetan Buddhists, who actually have this as a life goal. Their goal is to wake up in the dream so that they can recognize death when they wake up. And their philosophy is one of rebirth, and therefore they'll be able to have a little bit more direction or awareness of rebirth. But even in this lifetime, if that's not something that you prescribe to, even in this lifetime, it's just about waking up. So even if we are living a dream now, we don't have to wake up when we die. We can wake up in each moment a little bit more in our waking state during the day, and then also at night, without actually waking our body up. It's just being more and more aware in our life. Okay, so what a lucid dream is not. It is not just a very real, vivid dream, okay, as I said already. It is not an out-of-body experience either for those of you that have experienced that or might be interested in that topic. Just quickly, an out-of-body experience is where an element of your subjective sense of self or your consciousness dislocates from the physical body and is experiencing a universal mind stream seemingly separate from itself. Now, that's a massive topic in itself, so I'm not going to go there right now. Just know that it is not an out-of-body experience or an astral travel experience. And it is not a half asleep, half awake state, right? This would be either the hypnagogic or hypnopompic state of liminal dream, which we covered in module 2. So if that's what a lucid dream is not, then what is a lucid dream? Well, it is when you are sound asleep, but part of your mind has woken up again. It is when you have that realization that, aha, I'm dreaming. It is when there is conscious awareness in the dream. A sense of subjective self-awareness wakes up. So you're able to discern you from the dreamscape around you. That's the me, my, I. It is when you become conscious within the seemingly unconscious. So seemingly there is because previously it wasn't believed that we could become conscious in this state. It was said that when we slept, we just were completely unconscious and it wasn't possible. So that's why it's seemingly there, because only recently, since the 1970s, has lucid dreaming been verified and then proven that we can become conscious in the sleep state. What's very important before we go further is to know how it feels, and this is so important. So lucid dreaming is incredibly realistic. For those who haven't experienced one, just know it's literally right now like your waking state. So where you are sitting right now, take a look around. So just take your eyes off the screen, look around you. Now, a lucid dream could be exactly this. It could be you sitting here, listening to my voice, looking at the screen, and observing the room around you. The table, if you had to knock the table, would feel and sound like the table. Something cold would feel cold in the lucid dream. If you touched your skin in the lucid dream, you would feel it. If you pinched yourself, it would be a bit painful. Right, so everything is incredibly real in a lucid dream. So it doesn't look hazy or dreamy. It is not a psychedelic experience. It's fully lucid, crisp, high definition, and that's of your conscious mind. All right, so this conscious mind switches back on in that unconscious space, and you have this crisp, real experience. So in a lucid dream, you can put your hand on your heart, which you can do right now, and hopefully you do feel a heartbeat there. If not, just place it somewhere where you're going to feel a pulse. Now you'll feel that in a lucid dream. Yeah, like I said, if you pinch yourself, you'll feel that. If in that lucid dream you fall, you will hurt yourself, right? You'll feel that pain. So a lucid dream looks, feels, and even tastes real, all right? So eating an apple or a piece of chocolate in a lucid dream is experiencing the taste not through your taste buds, but through your mind. Because you are lying in your bed, your mouth is closed, but in your mind you are experiencing that taste, just like you would if you were waking, in the waking state. So, can we learn lucid dreaming? Yes, 100%, absolutely. It is a learnable skill like riding a bike. You can be taught to lucid dream. You can teach yourself to lucid dream. And anybody can do it. Because there is a formula towards lucidity. Like everybody dreams, they just might not know that they dream because they haven't practiced dream recall. Everybody that dreams, i.e. everybody, can learn the skill of lucidity. Children naturally and spontaneously lucid dream as part of their neurological development. So actually, in a sense, we have all lucid dreamed before. So what we're doing is we're actually remembering a skill. You have already been lucid dreaming for some time in your life. You probably just don't remember it. So if you sleep, you dream, fact. If you dream, then you can learn to lucid dream. And if you do the practices, which we're going to go through later in this module, you will lucid dream. For some people, it may happen tonight. For others, it may only happen next week, next month, but with practice, it will happen. So just carrying on. Think of it this way. When you were a kid, maybe you learned to ride a bike or you learned to do something else. That's a muscle that you then developed, right? There's also a neurological pathway that developed in your brain for this muscle action. So there's a complete brain to muscle integration that took place there. Now what we're doing in a lucid dream is it's kind of like a muscle in the brain, still a neurological pathway. We just need to practice it. So if you haven't practiced riding a bike for some time or whatever else it was that you learned to do when you were young, you might be a bit rusty at first, but you will be able to get back into it. And that's the beauty of this. We all dreamt lucidly, spontaneously as children. So it's just a matter of practice to get that brain muscle working again and to start firing some energy into those neurological pathways again. So let's talk the science of lucid dreaming now before we get into any techniques. It is a scientifically proven phenomena of rapid eye movement dreaming sleep. Now, we covered this in Module 2 and Module 1, so if you need a recap, then please go back and have a look at those. So this is where you do most of your narrative-based dreaming. We know it exists because it has direct neural correlation, and I've just mentioned neuroplasticity and how we can learn it. So during REM, rapid eye movement sleep, the front part of the brain is highly deactivated. Now, this is in a non-lucid dream, okay? When we are just having a normal dream, the front part of the brain is highly deactivated. And this, interestingly enough, is also the part of the brain where your sense of self resides, that me, my, I. This is why in a non-lucid dream, your sense of self is either highly diminished or completely offline. Hence, when you have a dream that you are the king of Spain, for example, you can truly believe that you are a king of Spain. Now, this is in that non-lucid dream, all right? Because the front part of the brain is deactivated, and that's where that sense of self resides. So we really believe that we're the king of Spain in that non-lucid dream. But in a lucid dream, something fascinating happens. The prefrontal cortex at the front of the brain, and especially a particular part called the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, receives a massive amount of blood flow, corresponding to becoming lucidly aware. All right, so this front part of the brain that in a non-lucid dream is actually switched off, now in a lucid dream switches back on, has a lot of blood flow to it. And this is how scientists know if someone is lucid or not, because the front part of the brain switches on, and then the me, my, I program becomes engaged. All of a sudden, you are able to distinguish yourself as you in that dream and not the king of Spain. So let's use that example again. You're having a dream, you're the king of Spain, you're non-lucid. Front part of the brain is deactivated. You absolutely believe you're the king of Spain because you don't have that me, my, I sense of self. When you become lucid in that same dream, you have that aha moment, I'm dreaming, at which point the front part of the brain gets a hell of a lot of blood to it. That part switches back on, and that's where your me, my, I is situated. And all of a sudden, you'll be able to distinguish, I am not the king of Spain. However, I'm dreaming I'm the king of Spain. So you have self-awareness, and you are absolutely aware that you are now dreaming within your mind, within the context of the dream, while you are sound asleep in your bed. So it's a complete paradox. We are aware while we are asleep. Now, this is in the lucid dream. The awakening of awareness within the dream state is not accompanied by any physiological awakening, right? So the body is still sound asleep in bed. To all outward appearances, we are still in our bed and unconscious, yet internally our dreaming mind could be said that we are wide awake inside the dreaming mind, while the body is sound asleep. So since the 1970s, when lucid dreaming was first proven, ongoing studies at the Frankfurt University's Neurological Clinic and the Max Planck Institute of Psychiatry have discovered that specific alterations to the brain's physiology appear once a dreamer becomes lucid. Now, they do this now through, it was EEG scans, now it's fMRI scans. So there's a lot of technology that has become available to us for this. So using this brain imaging technology, such as magnetic resonance tomography and EEG, scientists can actually pinpoint the actual aha, I'm dreaming moment of lucid awareness and its neurophysiological correlations. So it's really, really interesting time we're living in, because as our technology develops, we're able to prove more and more and more of this. There's so much of the brain that is still yet to be discovered, and the mind as well. So this is just an example of the EEG activity. All right, so just have a look at that main image in the middle there. The left-hand brain with a lot of the red, orange color, that's when we are now in our waking state. So the brain has a lot of particular waves that show up as certain colors when it is active. Okay, then when we are in the middle, that's actually when we are lucid. So there's a lot of mimicking in that front part of the brain to activity of our waking state. And then on the right-hand side, this is when we're just having a normal dream, non-lucid. So have a look, completely deactivated. There's no red, orange color. That frontal cortex of the brain is deactivated. So compare now waking, so the left picture and the right picture. So waking to non-lucid dreaming, just a normal dream. There's no activity in the frontal cortex. Then all of a sudden, that middle picture, when we're in REM and we are lucid in a dream, it switches on. So this is how they have been able to prove now what's happening. Okay, so some early research in the 1950s already there was research being done into lucid dreaming, but it was only really in the 1970s that it was proved as a scientifically verified phenomena of REM dreaming sleep. It was Dr. Keith Hearn, and it was in the UK at Hull University, and he was the first man to actually prove this, even though the experiments and the hypotheses had been there for already 2 decades. And he managed to get his dreamer to send a signal from the dream state, the lucid dream state, to the sleep lab while he was asleep. And what's fascinating is how they did this. So now during the REM, the body is in paralysis, all right? So the whole body's in paralysis except the eyes and the respiratory tract. So hence why it's called rapid eye movement as well, because your eyes move around in REM. So they decided on an eye movement pattern that the dreamer memorized before going to sleep. All right, so it was like a Morse code for the eyes. And then before going to sleep, the dreamer sets an intention to become lucid and to perform his optical Morse code in his lucid dream, thus proving he was fully conscious in this seemingly unconscious dream state. And lo and behold, all of a sudden the impossible had been proved, because he was able to send the Morse code from his unconscious mind through to the waking state. And in that lab, they managed to get all of those signals and recorded them. And that's kind of the first quite raw experiments that were done. Those experiments still continue today, and there's a few more that have been added onto that as well. Well, if it's been going since the 1950s and proven since the 1970s, why has it taken so long for public consciousness to wake up to the potential of lucid dreaming? Well, unfortunately, the scientific establishment largely still resisted these results, even though it was proved in 1975. And it therefore took another scientist, Stephen LaBerge, at the Stanford Sleep Laboratory in California, to do very similar experiments with very similar results a few years later. And then people started waking up to the fact that lucid dreaming was actually a real thing. And then more recently, 2010 to 2012, there have been the fMRI scans, which have been done on lucid dreamers. That's where you go into this whole big machine. You can see the picture on the right there. And they're able to get a live picture of the brain, which further proved exactly what is happening in the brain when a participant has a lucid dream. So this increased knowledge of lucid dreaming through technology has increased press coverage and therefore public awareness. So keep your eyes open on the media in the next few years, over the next decade definitely, because more and more and more is coming out. And it's actually in certain areas in Europe and as well as in America, lucid dreaming is actually given as an assist by certain psychologists and doctors for trauma and depression. Okay, so the latest research concludes that lucid dreaming constitutes a hybrid state of consciousness with definable and measurable differences from the waking state and from REM dreaming sleep. So it's basically just saying, yes, it exists, but it's this hybrid state of consciousness now. No longer these two separate, you can either be conscious or you have to be unconscious. Researchers have discovered that when lucid consciousness is obtained in the dream, activities in areas associated with self-assessment and self-perception increased markedly within seconds. So the apparent paradox, all of a sudden, of being both aware and asleep, which had previously caused a lot of resistance and skepticism, was simply a failure to understand how two distinct brain regions could be activated simultaneously. And the research continues. So keep your eye open and your ears open on the media. Okay, so dream recall, a little recap from module 2 because it is incredibly important. Lama Surya Das has a quote that the more conscious you are of your dreams, the more likely you are to become conscious within them. Okay, so we have to first start to notice our non-lucid dreams and just be aware of the space in our lives before we can become conscious within them. This is the most important tool in your toolbox, is your dream recall. And on top of that list, how do we do that? Dream diary. Most important. So until you regularly remember and recall your dreams, you could be having lucid dreams every night, but you wouldn't be remembering them. That would be so sad. And until you get to the point where you regularly remember and recall your dreams, you're unlikely to become lucid within them. So it's a bit of a catch-22 there. We first have to be aware of them. Then we can start to do something about that space while we are in the dream. So as a recap, until we get to the point where we really know the territory of our dreaming mind well, we are unlikely to know that territory regularly once we're even in it. So this forms the basis of dream call. We have to really, really get to know our dreaming mind territory so that when we are in it, we can have moments of, aha, I'm dreaming. And again, a recap, we all dream. Everybody can remember their dreams. They just have to try. So it's a practice in remembering and recalling, and it's something we can practice daily without having to fit another thing on the to-do list. It's just increasing our awareness. So every night we go through 4 or 5 dream periods. Not everybody remembers all these dreams, but you can start to remember these dreams with simple practices. So we've already introduced the dream diary. I'm just going to repeat that a few times so that it does get emblazoned into our minds. And some people think they won't be able to lucid dream because they can't remember their dreams. However, when last did they try to remember their dreams? So there's also something here just to mention around being lazy and then effort and aspiration. So unless you regularly try to remember your dreams, unless you put in some effort and aspiration, why would you remember them? Okay. So how do we start noticing our dreams? Well, here we go again. We have to care to notice. If you feel you did not dream, perhaps you have not yet cared to notice the fact that you do actually dream every night. The wonderful thing is you don't have to wait any longer. You can start tonight. You just have to care to notice. That's all. And then 8 ways to boost our dream recall. Be enthusiastic. Look forward to dreams and sleep. That'll also help to develop a positive sleep relationship. Point number 2. And then NB. Keep a dream diary. Set an intention to recall your dreams before you start dreaming, i.e. before you go to sleep. You can do this just mentally, or you can put it in your dream diary as well. Know the times of your REM periods. Now, this is going to become important for this module because when we are wanting to wake ourselves up to record dreams with an alarm clock or just naturally, then we have to know when our REM period is within our sleep cycle, because we don't want to wake ourselves up when we're in deep sleep. Our body needs the rest then. But once we've had about 4 or 5 sleep cycles, or 3 or 4 sleep cycles, then we can choose to set an alarm and wake ourselves up when we know we're going to be in REM. Again, recap on module 2. And then upon waking, lie still, because your muscles hold the memory of what's been happening in the mind. Then you recapitulate, so you work backwards. Any little thread that might just be lingering there while you're lying still, take hold of it gently in your mind and just slowly thread your way back, and that often will lead you into the dream. Recapitulation, you don't only have to do lying down. As soon as you start dream diarying, so you start journaling in your dream diary, and you just write down anything you can remember, often that will just start a flow of dream recall. And then improve your waking state recall. So these are memory techniques for during the day. So it can be something simple like remembering phone numbers or car registration plates while you're driving, or people's names. So as soon as we can practice waking recall, it will then have an effect in our nighttime recall as well for our dreams. So this is just a recap then of the dream diary. I'm not going to go into too much detail now because this was in module 2. But basically, you want to think about the timing of when you're doing your dream diary. Okay, so you've got to put some power behind this. You want to set your intention before going to bed. Put a bit of time aside before you're going to sleep just to write down some affirmations. And then as soon as you wake up, write down the dream, because you're not going to remember it in the morning. Even if you woke up and it was so clear and you go, oh, I'll totally remember that in the morning. Most of the time you won't. So write it down. And how to journal, just start by putting in the date and where you are. If you're always going to be sleeping at home, it's not so important. But then if you do go away somewhere, then mark that. And you don't need to document every single detail, all right? In the beginning, it might be important just to keep that muscle going and practice that muscle of recall. Otherwise, focus on themes, focus on any imagery that came to you, anything from the senses. So it doesn't have to be visual. It can be sounds or smells or feelings. You can draw, sketch, write, just record the dream somehow in your dream diary. Make it easy for you, a note on practicality. So have everything ready before you go to bed. So you don't have to scratch around at 3 or 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning looking for a light or for your pen. So get organized before you go to bed. And this will also boost that enthusiasm and create a positive relationship towards your sleep and night space. Just another recap on this. So important. Keeping a dream diary is your most important tool in your toolbox for dream recall and for lucid dreaming. So get those diaries going. Some of them can look like that. Lots of sketches or lots of words, or a combination. All right, the REM periods, quick recap on this. You're going to have most of your dreams in the last 2 hours of your sleep at night. So that'll be early hours in the morning for most of us. So if you go to bed at 10 and you normally wake up at 6, then between 4 and 6 a.m., you're basically in REM most of that time. So that's where you're going to be experiencing more of the dreams. You do dream at other parts of the night. It just means that you have longer REM periods the closer you are to waking up naturally in the morning. So you can start to document those for yourself in a nice simple way. Is every time you do wake up to record a dream, just note the time, put the time down there, and you'll slowly over time start to see a correlation. For most people, it's 90 minutes per cycle, so you can time it for 90 minutes after you go to bed, followed by another 90 minutes, followed by another 90 minutes. All right, setting an intention. Basically, the best one, tonight I remember my dreams. I have excellent dream recall. And with enthusiasm, you write that down and you say it in your head while you're lying in bed. Tonight I remember my dreams. I have excellent dream recall. And if you really want to have a lucid dream throughout your day, you're saying this to yourself. Tonight I remember my dreams. I have excellent dream recall. And affirmations or intentions are always going to be in a positive, and they're always going to be present. So we're not talking past and we're not talking negative. Also, if you write your intention in your dream diary before going to bed, that will really help. And then a recap, lifestyle, recapitulate, your body holds the memory and you want to work backwards, just like a ball of string. You're trying to get from the end of the thread back to the middle, chunky bit of the dream. Waking state practice, remember phone numbers, remember your to-do list. And then also, if you have a meditation or mindfulness practice, know that it is great because you're practicing mindfulness awareness. You want to be aware of the dream while it's happening. And if you don't have a meditation or mindfulness practice and you've always wanted to try, then here's another reason, some motivation behind it, because you want to lucid dream, even if it's just for 5 minutes. Okay. So why would we want to actually lucid dream? It sounds fascinating, that's great, but why is it going to make a difference to your life? Why would you want to do it? So there are many, many psychological benefits to lucid dreaming. It's more important than any of the hows. If you have a really good reason why you want to have a lucid dream, that will be the most powerful technique you can acquire. So your why is going to be very important to you, and that's going to be individual. I'm going to give you some reasons as we go in the next few minutes, but you've got to come up with why for yourself. So a good reason to have a lucid dream is a good reason for your unconscious mind to open up the gates and let you in. Let's have a look at that unconscious mind again. So there was a little bit of this in module 2. But hopefully now it's becoming clearer and clearer, because this is where we enter when we are dreaming. It's a vast library of knowledge. About 90% of your mind is unconscious, and we access this when we sleep. It contains every book you've ever read, every experience you've ever had, every conversation you've ever spoken. The memories of these are stored in that huge library of knowledge that we call the unconscious mind. And through our dreams, especially our lucid dreams, we get the keys to that library to unlock our past memories, our past traumas, past experiences. This is all safe because it's within the space of the lucid dream. You're not going anywhere, you're just going into your own mind. So every time you have a lucid dream, your conscious mind is actually having a direct conversation with the unconscious mind. You can ask that dreaming mind what is going on in your psychology. So it's a great space for healing, great space for transformation. You can ask big questions. You can explore the mind. You can ask for help, for advice, for suggestions, for creative ideas. All this from this powerful source of your unconscious mind. I like to call it the bigger you. It's the greater part of you. It's very much you, though. So through lucid dreaming, we have access to 90% more knowledge and awareness than we have right now in our waking state. So no matter how many PhDs you've got, how intelligent you are, how mature you are as a human being, no matter your IQ or your EQ level, you are still only doing that within 10% of your consciousness in your waking state. Now imagine the potential when you start to tap into 90% more. So if you want an answer, don't ask the 10% of you. Ask that 90% of yourself that is available in your dream space. So become lucid. Ask the question in the lucid dream where you have access to this greater part of your mind, to that greater you. So like I said, healing is a massive benefit psychologically and physically, as we're going to learn about now in lucid dreaming. So it's a wonderful psychological benefit. It has been scientifically validated, as well as validated through thousands of anecdotal reports too, that it is possible to engage physical healing responses within the psychological dream world. So let's talk physical for a moment. So physical healing, which has been cited, includes curing nicotine addiction, so smoking, ear infections, short-sightedness, hives, menstrual cramps, and even weight loss, as well as a range of physical benefits. We can obviously engage in the lucid dream state. The more obvious areas of psychological benefits are also available to us. So through lucid dreaming, you can work with phobias, nightmares, post-traumatic stress, confidence issues, insecurities, etc. It really is all available to you just within the workings of your own mind. That all sounds very well, but how does it actually work? Okay, so the lucid dream state works in a similar way to hypnotherapy, just as the hypnotherapist will guide you into the unconscious and plant a statement of healing intent within it. In a lucid dream, you are doing a similar thing. So you are your hypnotherapist in that lucid dream. You are taking your conscious mind into the unconscious and engaging in healing intent, whether it's physical or psychological. That's what you are doing there. So for example, if you want to heal a phobia of snakes, let's take that biggie, or even sharks. Once you are in the lucid dream, okay, now you lucid, you can choose to engage very gently with a snake or with a shark. So you will remember that it is just a dream, because now that sense of self is switched back on. And even though the snake or the shark comes close to you, slithers over you, swims around you, you will know that that is part of your dreaming mind, and it's not you. You will initially feel the fear, of course, because we feel the feelings still come up. But we will be able to remind ourselves that it actually doesn't exist, because it's a figment of your mind. Your mind has created that picture there that you are perceiving as real. Okay, but here's the interesting thing. Your brain, so the organ of your brain, doesn't actually know that. Your brain thinks you are awake. All right, so you therefore start laying new neural pathways that say, I'm not scared of snakes or sharks anymore. I'm allowing the snake or the shark to slither or swim around me fearlessly. So that's what you're actually saying to your brain. So these neural pathways start and you change the shape of your brain while you sleep. That is amazing. Now, hopefully this is motivation to learn lucid dreaming. The power of your mind and the power of healing there, that you can change deep, deep-seated fears and phobias. All right. So phobias and nightmares, very similar topics when it comes to the neural pathways and wanting to shift them. So once we are lucid now, neuroplasticity is engaged. So this is the phenomena of the brain, which allows us to retain the brain based on, retrain the brain based on new habits, new engagements, and new practices. And this happens that much faster than in the waking state because you have 90% more of your mind available to you. So in non-lucid dreams, neuroplasticity is not engaged, all right? So non-lucid dreams, we're still just experiencing the dream thinking that it's very, very real. So we haven't had that moment of, aha, I'm lucid. But once you become lucid and you go, I'm dreaming, this is just a nightmare and I'm just in it, the prefrontal cortex switches on. So when you engage something in the dream, you create new neural pathways. You're engaging with it differently than you would in your waking state. If you were scared of something, you'd run away or whatever it was. Therefore, if you can engage a phobia fearlessly in a lucid dream, you create new neural pathways towards fearlessness, towards that phobia in the waking state. So whatever happens in the lucid dream, whatever you're training your brain and your mind to do or to become in the lucid dream is directly correlated to your waking state. So there's this flow from waking to dreaming and from dreaming to waking, lucidly though. So if you suffer from nightmares, if you can become lucid and engage the source of the nightmare fearlessly, you open up the potential to create a new path in the brain that says, I am no longer scared. Fear no longer holds me ransom to the aspects of my old life. And very, very powerful. So yes, lucid dreaming is absolutely being prescribed at the moment for nightmare treatment. And through the lucid dream, you can heal your mind in your sleep. And possibly even more fascinating is the physical training aspect. Now, this has been tested on many athletes as well and proven. So it's possible to train in physical actions, making you improve at them in the waking state. Remember, we're working with neuroplasticity when we are lucid. So we are absolutely developing that brain to muscle signaling as well and developing deeper habits there. So there's a whole range of scientific studies going back at least 20 years that show that when you become lucid and start to engage in a certain physical activity, it will make you better at that activity when actually doing it in the waking state. So you can train in running, in yoga, in Tai Chi, squats, drills, anything in the lucid dream. And this far increases the ability to engage visualized training in the waking state, allowing you to actually increase your strength potential in your dreams. So there's a knock-on effect there. So this, like I said, has been already proven and it has been tested on athletes, and there are people that are doing very, very good work, lots of PhD studies being done on this still today, and looking at improving athletic performance and also physical healing, related to training, so related to actual muscle activity. So those cells start to increase in those certain muscles. That's what's actually happening on the cellular level when you do your training in the lucid dreaming state. Let's go back to the mind now, back to the psychological space. So once you become lucid, you are inside your own mind, and you are in your own psychology. Now, if you want to work with internal archetypes, you now have direct access to communicate and interact with them. So archetypes, as Carl Jung described them, are just themes of energy that exist within your mind. He said specifically they're universally existing symbolic representations of the mind. So certain psychological themes that are found in the mind of all beings throughout time. So for example, we have the wise man, the child, the inner child, the shadow, the divine feminine, the warrior, and there are many, many, many more. These are aspects of ourselves that we can relate to in an archetype form for healing. So through the lucid dream, you can meet your archetypes. It is up to you what you want to do with these encounters, of course, but there is a vast amount of knowledge, growth, and healing we can access through these encounters. It's a lot of deep stuff, but it's also fun. Lucid dreaming is fun. Whole range of psychological benefits you can access, physical healing, mental healing, training, meeting your archetypes, exploring your mind, etc. Or you could just have fun. It doesn't have to always be so serious. But whatever it is you choose to do, do it with enthusiasm and curiosity.